Good morning. Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of our integrations webinar series. This week's focus is on the Text Anywhere and Osprey integration. Text Anywhere helps businesses communicate more effectively than ever before, and the integration with Osprey means these tools can be seamlessly added to your workflows and daily processes to help you build stronger relationships with clients and win new business. My colleague Matt will take you through why using text messaging as a communication channel could be really effective for your firm and the benefits of using Text Anywhere with Osprey. But before I hand over to Matt, I just want to let you know that the Q&A feature is open at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you have any questions, please post them in there and we'll try to get round to them at the end of the webinar. If we don't have time, one of our support team will get back to you. So without any further delay, I'll hand over to Matt to get started.
Thank you, Amy. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 5th episode in our integrations series. I'm Matt Wood, the support team leader at Osprey, and throughout the series, we have been discovering more about our integration partners. The idea of all our integrations is to improve your processes, doing things such as saving time, reducing errors, and helping improve your levels of customer service. As Amy said, the Q&A feature is open for any questions, so please, anything that you're not sure of, any questions you want answering, please do pop them down in at the bottom of your screen. So we're going to be taking a look at Text Anywhere this morning. This integration enables you to send automated or ad hoc text messages to your clients directly through Osprey's suite of applications. Now, text messages aren't a highly utilized form of communication within the legal sector. And we're going to take a look at maybe some of the reasons why that's the case and some of the reasons that you might not be using them. We'll look to address those ideas, and then we'll move on to the various reasons as to why they can become a key tool to increase your customer's experience. So first off is why you might not be currently using text messages. Well, the chances are the idea just never came across your mind, or you've thought of one of the next few things. So texting doesn't help you build client relations in the same way that calling somebody might do. And this one, to be fair, is actually fairly difficult to argue with. However, when I say that you shouldn't be using text messages, or that you should be using text messages, sorry, to communicate with your clients, that doesn't mean that you should only be using text messages to communicate with your clients. Now, every available communication channel should be utilized within a business, and each has their respective and appropriate places. And that's from marketing to client communication to internal communication. You know, everything has its place, and text messages are no different. Later on, we'll discuss some of the most appropriate times to be using a text message within a legal transaction. The next thing that people may think, or you may think yourself, is that texting clients isn't professional. Now, texting clients from your personal mobile phone may not be professional. However, a fully integrated SMS solution, on the other hand, where you can design templates to be used at specific times with predefined text that can be received in the name of your firm instead of from just a random mobile number, is actually extremely professional. And it just shows that your clients, that you as a firm, are invested in their experience and technology, which just screams professional, really. So it's actually the complete opposite. The next thing that you may think is that things may become miscommunicated via texts. And it's probably the case that in your personal life, you sent a text message to someone that was misinterpreted or misunderstood. Now, this would never really be the case when using text messages from a business's perspective. You ensure you're using text messages for the right occasions, and by using predefined templates, you can easily make sure that it's near enough impossible for any form of miscommunication to occur. The next one that some people may think is that you can't access or archive text messages easily. And again, if you're using some form of physical device to communicate via texts, then that's a fair point. However, the Text Anywhere integration obviously puts a record of the text message conveniently within the matter history, the document storage area for your client. And that means it's easy to see any text messages that you've sent. And also at that point, you don't actually have to even think about them when you go through your archiving process, because it's just archived alongside all your other documents, all your other communication. And the final thing that I've heard of people as to why they're reluctant to use text messages is that they feel like as though it gives them too much access to you. Now, again, if you were using a personal or a mobile device, that could be a genuine concern. The reality is that they probably wouldn't have any more access to you than they would do over the phone. However, the integration allows for text messages in one direction only. Now, that means that you can text your clients, but they can't text you. It's no different to receiving a login code via text. You can't text that number back. So that's some of the main reasons we come across as to why firms are or aren't using text messages as a regular communication method with their clients. Before we move on to sort of the pros of using text messages, we just have a look at the world of communication. Now, as I said earlier on, there's a number of different platforms or ways that you as a business can communicate with your clients. And again, it's very important that when I say you should use text messages to speak to your clients, as I said earlier, I don't mean that you should only use text messages or that text should or could in any way replace other forms of communication. And each form of communication has its place and have both pros and cons. But as an example, meetings. Now, it's great to put a face to a name. They're excellent to gather information about a case or about a person because of that two-way dialogue. They add a personal element to your customer's experience. They are, however, time-consuming. All parties need to be available and present at a single location on a specific day or time, and that can just cause delays progressing with a case. With phone calls, it's very easy to pick up your phone and make a phone call. They're equally great at data gathering, but again, you're reliant on multiple people being available at a given time. And it's very common, but it's a very common method of communication for businesses. It won't stand out in any way that you've made a phone call to your client. It won't give your clients a sense of any higher level of service by phoning them. If we look at websites, social media, they're great tools to communicate in a marketing sense to drive new instructions, but they're pretty much useless in engaging with clients on active cases. I could keep going through all of the methods that we can see on the screen, explaining the good and the bad, but I hope you're getting the idea that text messages in no way replace any of your current methods of engaging with your clients, but rather they complement them. Now, a business should, in today's world, be using every single one, or at least almost every single one of the channels that are up on screen right now to get information out to their clients. And that's prospective, live, and past alike. But it's all about using the right method for the right person at the right time. So if we move on, and we'll obviously focus on text messages now, when is the right time to send a text message? Well, the answer to that is really dependent on what you do as a firm, on the image you want to give out as a firm as well. So it's probably best to use a text message when you want to convey a bit of important information to your clients. And that information would likely require no response. So it could be a thank you from the business when you take on an instruction. Now, that very same text could let them know who their main point of contact is and how they can get in touch with that person. You may be about to send over some important documents through some other form of communication, and we just want to give them a heads up to expect it. Now, reminders about important dates or updating them when milestones within the case are reached are also excellent times to be using a text message. But why is it better to use a text message in these sorts of scenarios than an email or a letter? Well, for one, you can easily find a text message. As an example, if you're sending out an appointment confirmation letter via email or via post, it's so easy for those to get lost in the many other emails or letters that are received. And that could lead to missed appointments and delays in moving on with a case. Another reason would be that it's a personal touch. And that's only going to increase your client's perception of the service that you're providing. Now, friends, family, work colleagues are all the main sort of people who have your client's number. And by adding yourself to that list, it's automatically going to create that personalized feeling to your customer's overall experience. Now, with that being said, your clients will almost undoubtedly also be receiving text messages from other companies that they have dealings with. And I said earlier on that text messages aren't heavily utilized within the legal sector in general. Well, the same can't be said for many other sectors. Now, last week I took a scroll through my phone and I took some screenshots for you all of the different businesses that have texted me fairly recently. Now, I already knew a lot of businesses that I buy things from or provide a service to me would text me and do that regularly, but I was fairly amazed at actually just how many it was when I was scrolling through. We've got restaurants, opticians, high street retailers, NHS, broadband providers, banks, utility providers, Airport Network, the dealership I recently bought a car from, an embarrassing number of takeaway orders, and even the florist I bought Mother's Day flowers from had all sent me through a few texts. And almost every industry are using text messages in some capacity to engage with their clients. But for some reason, the legal industry, again, in general, just doesn't seem to have adopted this communication method. But it really, really should do. Now, a single text through the integration costs around about 4p. So sending a few short text messages through a battery, it's not going to break the bank. Let's just say sending 20 texts throughout a case, which could potentially increase your client's thoughts on your service levels for 80p. I mean, that's really just a no-brainer. They can equally be implemented to be sent automatically within your workflows, meaning that you or your fee earners, whoever would be sending these, don't actually spend any time on them at all. And therefore, with that and the cost element or the very low level of cost element that's involved with them, they really do just make sense. And they make even more sense if we look at some of the performance stats of text messages in comparison to the most popular and probably your own personal preference of sending emails. Now, this one probably comes as a surprise, but only around 20% of emails that are sent are ever actually opened. Now, of course, your clients will more than likely be on the lookout for emails from you. But with the amount of spam, newsletters, offers, and promotions that they're going to be receiving on a daily basis, they're very easily missed. Now, I'm sure you've had to chase your clients to respond to an email on numerous occasions. And chances are it's because they've missed them. A quick text to say that you'd sent that important email or document, and there's a 98% chance that your text is read. And more so, a 95% chance that it's read within 3 minutes of you sending it. You'll vastly reduce the amount of time that you have to spend chasing your clients and also be able to progress your cases quicker because your client has got back to you quicker. The reason behind the opening rates becomes very clear when we look at the huge difference in the number that are sent. Around 300 billion more emails are sent every day globally. And that's just what makes text messages more easily accessible and, of course, more likely to be opened and opened quickly. If we have a look at how many people have access to emails or texts, and whilst fairly similar, there is actually a higher number of people who have access to mobile phones that are capable of receiving a text message than there are people with an email address. Now, the chances are anyone you're representing are going to have access to both. So why not use both? And finally, to explain why text messages tend to be opened much quicker than emails, is down to our habits. And that's our inability to put our phone down. Now, text message notifications are instantly received on your mobile phone, whether they're locked or not. And people are checking your phone or phones on an average 58 times a day. Just due to the vast amount of email and spam that are being received, you don't want the notifications popping up on your lock screen for spam, so they're disabled. And that means that on average, people are only actually checking their personal emails 15 times a day in comparison. So if we just sum up again, so exactly what this integration can do for your business. So sending text messages that inform your clients, as an example of key milestones within a case, are going to reduce the amount of time that you're going to spend on the phone to your clients, updating them of progress. You know, clients calling you, asking you for updates every couple of days. You get the information out to them as it happens, and these sorts of tasks will be greatly reduced. Sending them texts to let them know of incoming documents or questionnaires that require an action will make it more likely that your clients will see them and action them, meaning that you can spend less time chasing your clients. So texts for appointments or key dates, as well as text for these incoming documents or questionnaires, are going to just help you progress with your matters quickly. Your clients have easy access to all the information they'll need and the action points that they need to be concerned about, meaning that they will turn up where they need to, when they need to, and they'll fill out the forms or sign the letters they need to, again, when they need to. We have texts on instruction and post-completion, as well as the text sent in between. They're all going to provide that personal feeling to the service that you're providing, and that all leads to a better customer experience. And although customer experience or customer service is something that's probably more associated with like hospitality or retail, it is actually perhaps more important in the legal industry. Why is that? Well, I mean, after all, your customers are obviously the ones who hire you. They do pay you, obviously, and part of that should be doing everything possible to provide them a quality service. And I'm sure you already do that. But more so from a business perspective, you want to increase your reputation in any way that you possibly can. And the reason for that, other than obviously being able to just boast a good reputation, is that reputation is actually the most common factor that clients will consider when selecting their solicitor. 81% of the people who were surveyed said that it was important to them, with price being the next most important thing, with 72% saying it was a factor in their decision. Now, what that means is how you treat your customers, your current customers, the service, the experience that you provide to them could very easily affect whether or not you get a new instruction in the future or not. It could also be the difference in them referring you to friends, family, or work colleagues in the future, or kind of keeping quiet when those kinds of conversations take place. So finally, and really just to round up the series a little bit, as I've said, the aim of our integrations and the reasons why we partner up with the very best is to ensure that you have the opportunity to stay ahead of ahead of your competition. So the digital age that we live in almost commands that we make the most of the very best technology out there. And it really is only by doing that it's possible to keep up with increasing expectations from your clients and stay ahead of the curve in this digitally connected world. Now, we at Osprey obviously make it our mission to help you get into this sort of pole or prime position and maintain it. We do that by obviously consistently adding these new integrations. Now, we also obviously help you do this with use of the other features in our software, workflows, convert to client, Osprey BI, the client access portal, just to name a few other ones that are out there that are really going to help drive your efficiencies. You know, these are all in place and all have been developed to help you thrive as a business and succeed in a digitally connected world. And nothing we've ever done before actually makes that clearer than our next and up and coming integration, which is going to be the focus of our last webinar next week, which is 13th of July. And that's our integration with Coju. Now, Coju may not be a household name just yet, but for those of you in the conveyancing world, this kind of is the future. It is the epitome of a digitally connected world. It connects not just you with your client, but the other side, the lenders, the brokers, the estate agents, all connected through this soon to be released integration. Now, we will have a member of the team from Coju with us next week who's going to take you through what the future, what this will look like and why it's the next logical step and how it's going to affect you. It really is one that kind of mustn't be missed. Again, if you're in the conveyancing world, and it is a fitting end to our series. So please do keep an eye out for the registration emails in your inbox and register for that. We do also, as always, have the Focus Workflow webinar this Thursday at 10 a.m. as well. Alex is going to be covering our private client workflows and how they can benefit your firm. That will also include the ability to generate your estate accounts at the click of a button. So anybody in that line of work, I thoroughly recommend you sign up for that one as well. And you can get a taste for just how workflows can sort of revolutionize your processes. On a final note then, I'd just like to thank you all for watching today's webinar. I hope you've learned something this morning that makes you think maybe about using text messages in your everyday working environment in the future. So let's just move on to the Q&A just to round up the morning. Amy, have we hopefully had some questions for me to answer?
Yeah, sure. We've had a couple, so I'll just run through them now. Yeah. Somebody's asked, can different text messages automatically be sent in different scenarios? Yeah,
certainly. So this isn't really a feature of Text Anywhere, but it is obviously a feature that we can use with Text Anywhere to obviously create that effect. If we're adding our text messages into workflows, we can build criteria around those, and that's based off some other piece of information in Osprey. So as an example, not the best example, but if we wanted to say send a text message to anybody with a surname Wood and send one text message, or another text message to anybody whose surname isn't Wood, then we can do that by looking at the data in Osprey and creating criteria. It will automatically know, and it will automatically send those in those different scenarios.
Perfect. Someone's asked, can they try Text Anywhere out first?
Yeah, again, so as with all of the integrations, we can obviously demonstrate them to you. If you want to sign up with Text Anywhere, I believe they do give you out complimentary credits, so that you can give it a go without having any financial commitment. If you are interested in that, though, if you get in touch with us, though, we do have a special link for you to use to ensure that the integration will go as seamlessly as possible. So do get in touch with us before you get in touch with Text Anywhere.
Perfect. Someone has asked, can text be as long as you need them to be?
Yeah, so text messages actually always have been 160 characters. That's from years and years ago all the way up till today. It's just that phones have got better at adding text messages together to make them look like one text message. So Text Anywhere works on that basis as well. So 160 characters per text, but you can have up to 6 text messages sent out at one time. So that would be 960 characters. You can check them out on that one, but that should be more than what you would need for any real situation. With text messages, in all honesty, brevity is probably a friend. Get them the information that they need. We don't need any frills around those sorts of text messages, really.
Yeah, good advice. And just the last question before we move on is, you mentioned that text can be received in the name of the firm. Can you explain just what that means?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, normally, if you receive a text message from somebody who isn't in your contacts list, it would be received from a telephone number like +44 and then 10 further digits. What you can achieve with the integration is effectively, instead of those 11 digits, we can replace those with 11 characters of your choice. So instead of it coming from 07777, whatever it is, it would be received from ABC Law or whatever your firm's name is. It's no different to when you receive text messages from your bank. It will come from NatWest or HSBC rather than a telephone number. No, you don't have NatWest or HSBC stored in your contacts list. It's the same sort of thing that we're achieving by using the Text Anywhere integration.
Yeah, perfect. Sums that up. Okay, well, I just wanted to mention that the previous webinars that were listed on Matt's previous screen are available to watch on demand. So if you wanted to view those previous webinars, you can access them on our website through the Osprey Academy, and you can watch the previous InfoTrack or DocuSign webinars, LexisNexis, etc. On demand. So I just want to say thank you to Matt for your presentation, and thank you to everyone for attending, and we'll see you next week for the Code Sheet webinar. Thank you very much.